Good day everyone and welcome to On The Disc, a video series where I look specifically at what is on the disc of a product I have done an unboxing for. Today's video is focusing on Sailor Moon, the complete first season, which is available now from Viz Media in the USA. This is a Region A Blu-ray release, so keep that in mind if you are planning on buying this, that you will need hardware that is compatible with that coded type of disc. Additionally, when you first load up the disc, which we'll get onto the main menu for right now, the disc will load up with some copyright warnings, a flashing imagery type epilepsy warning, as well as showing off the company logos. That is an unskippable process, but you will eventually be greeted by the main menu, which is playing the famous transformation scene that you first see Sailor Moon do in the inaugural episode. There is music playing in the background as well. It's the music that you probably know and love. It's the famous transformation scene music. So that is playing in the background of this throughout. Whether that will be the same on the other discs, I do not know at this time. When it comes to main menu functionality, as you can see, we've got a variety of options here. We have got play, we've got episodes, setup, and gallery. When it comes to play, obviously that will just play all the episodes in succession. Episodes, here is how this will look when you want to select a particular episode. I like the way this has been highlighted. The pink tones actually work very well. It's very clear to see which episode you're highlighting. I also like the fact that they're numbered as well. It's a little detail, but it's something I like to see. When we go to the setup menu, there is actually a heck of a lot more here than I was anticipating there would be. I knew that there was English audio and Japanese audio. I was not expecting there to be so many variations of options, which is something that's really, really cool and makes it very, very accessible to a whole range of viewers. So let's dive into this. We've got just English audio, nothing else accompanying it. We've then got English with subtitles, which I'm going to guess, based on the phrasing and perhaps just my familiarity with anime releases, it will be the same subtitle track that will accompany the Japanese with English subtitles option. Then we've got English with songs and signs. That's basically whenever there is a song playing in the background, for example, maybe the opening title sequence, there will be the subtitles to accompany that. It's got that and also any on-screen text as well. English with SDH subtitles. This is really cool. What they are subtitles that combine the information of both captions and subtitles. So for example, if anyone wants to watch it and they want to know what a sound that was made occurred, maybe there was a gasp, it will say on screen gasp inside some more squared off brackets, or it may even highlight the character that specifically was speaking. So it's great for those hard of hearing viewers or those who would like to utilize those type of subtitles that want to watch it in that way accordingly. Then we have got Japanese with English subtitles, and Japanese with songs and signs. I will say, it is pretty cool. You can just watch it in raw Japanese if you want to. It's probably not something I will do, admittedly, but it is cool that that is an option nonetheless. Now let's quickly investigate what's in this gallery before I show you some examples of the subtitles specifically. I'm guessing... So which is advanced? Okay, so the red icon, it's a little bit difficult to figure out initially because I'm just so used to brighter colors being the emphasis there. But the red icon is the cursor that you are highlighting over. And when it comes to the gallery, we've got some cool art here depicting various things relating to Sailor Moon. Specifically relating to Sailor Moon in this instance. So it'd be interesting to see if there's any more galleries as we go throughout the discs. Oh, tuxedo mask as well. That's a nice thing to see as well. So there we go, so some fun art there. Now, what I'm going to do before we proceed any further, let's activate simply... I'll tell you what, let's do English... Let's just do English with subtitles, because then we kind of cover some double ground here. So, going to select that, and what I'm going to do now is try and show you a few examples of how the subtitles will appear on screen. Bear with me for one moment. So I've just paused during the opening sequence here. Here's a little example of how the song subtitles will display, that being with a more italicized font. And in the case here as well, it's actually translating, or the way to phrase this properly, is that it's basically displaying in English what is being said in Japanese, as it were, the actual words being spoken. As we look at the title card here for the first episode, you can see it's an italicized font here, but there is also an example there of how two lines will look with italicized font for you. Here is an example for you of how a single subtitle will look when it is not italicized. And here is an example of how a double-lined subtitle will appear on screen for you. What I'm going to do now is basically activate the pop-up menu, which I will resume the footage in order to do that. I'll take you through the functionality of that, and then we'll look at the SDH subtitles so I can put a bit of a focus on that, because I think that's really cool that is included as part of this release. So bear with me a moment. So episode is playing. Right, so here is the pop-up menu for you. It's basically exactly the same functionality as you get on the main menu. If you hit play, it will basically just start from episode 1 again. That is how that works. You've got episodes, which brings up, as before, the episode's title menu, so you can select whichever one you want. Setup, exactly the same as we saw on the main menu. If you hit gallery, it will literally take you to the gallery page. So keep that in mind if you don't just want to suddenly jump to the gallery. But, like I mentioned, let's now focus on English with SDH subtitles activated. So here on the title card for the episode, now with SDH subtitles activated, you can see that it's now got the square bracket highlighting Usagi there. That's actually emphasizing the character that is speaking at that moment in time. Let's go a little bit further into the start of the episode. So it's a little moment here, but here's an example of how a sound effect is emphasized when it needs to be highlighted in the context of the scene. Simply the word gasp in square brackets. That is how this will appear. I'm really happy to see that this type of subtitling is included on this release. So here is a good example. This character on screen now, Umino, was just talking, but Usagi was then talking off screen. So to emphasize that the line of dialogue in question is being said off screen, they've just added Usagi above it. It's a very simple touch, but it goes a heck of a long way to helping a lot of people to be able to view a show as classic as Sailor Moon, let alone any type of media, quite frankly. So it's really cool that they have got the SDH subtitle option on this disc. I'm very happy to see that. With that being said, what I'm going to do now is actually move on to disc 2. We've covered a lot of ground when it comes to the first disc. There's probably a lot more to cover as we get through the disc. There's going to be extra features and stuff aplenty. So with that being said, let's now proceed to disc 2. We are now on the main menu for disc 2, and as you can see, it's already got some big differences here. We've got a focus on Sailor Mercury, which I think is really cool. So perhaps this is going to be an ongoing theme through all these discs as we go through them, that there'll be an emphasis on different characters. When it comes to functionality, pretty much exactly the same as what we saw on the first disc. When it comes to the episodes, this disc has got episodes 9 through 16 on them. Again, exactly the same layout. And obviously, per the first disc, when it comes to viewing options, exactly the same, but great stuff to see there. So when it comes to the gallery, let's see what is in here this time. So already I can tell it's probably going to have a focus on Mercury, which is really cool. And that is exactly what we see. We've got some pretty cool art here of Mercury. Oh, and other characters as well. That's cool to see. So there will be that emphasis too. With that being said, let's get on to disc 3. We've now reached the menu for disc 3, and I already know there's going to be more extras on here, but cool to see. On this disc, we've got a focus on Sailor Mars. So that's really cool to see. We've got some footage relating to her playing in the background. When it comes to the episodes on this disc, we've got episodes 17 through to 23. Once again, exactly the same layout. Setup menu will be exactly the same as well. Let's delve into what is on the extras of this disc. And there's already a heck of a lot here, right? So we've got the clean opening and ending sequences. Which, that's interesting. Okay, so you can watch the opening and ending sequences, which, based on regular runtimes, is going to be around the 3-minute mark for both of them together. You can watch it with English subtitles, which I'm going to assume means that will be the English translation of the song lyrics. Romaji subtitles, which will be, as I demonstrated earlier, effectively the Japanese words being written out in English quite literally, so you can learn the lyrics verbatim, as it were. Then just subtitles off. This is actually really cool to see. Just for a point of reference, let's see how these are going to look. Bear with me, and I'll be right back. So what I've done here is fast forwarded through to the ending title sequence just to look at something a little bit different, and it is exactly what I thought it was going to be. It is showing off the subtitles with the English translation. So what I'm going to do now is hit the play button, then activate the pop-up menu, switch it over to the Romaji subtitles, and we shall see how this looks now. So that it's actually restarted it from scratch, so 1 second, I'll get back to the same point again. So here we go, now with the Romaji subtitle activated, here is what that will look like for you. Interesting that it literally just restarts the entire video and you can't just sort of flip-flop between the English subtitles and Romaji, but you know what? If that's the way the disc has to work in order for this to be successful, so be it. Not a deal breaker, but just an interesting anecdote more than anything else. Back on the main menu now, let's look at these extras once again. Got an art gallery. Let's have a quick cycle through what is on here. Some Sailor Mars focused art, which is what we were expecting. Other characters as well, that's cool to see. Cool, just some nice fun art to have there. So what else do we have? Announcement panel. So let's delve into a little bit of this and I'll try and explain quickly what this is relating to. So what we've got here, folks, is this is basically from the Anime Central convention in the USA back in 2014, and this was Viz Media's announcement that they had acquired Sailor Moon and such, and that they were going to be releasing the series and such. There was an announcement video that played, and then there's almost like a picture-in-picture format like you see here of them, basically of the entire panel, is the way to sum it up. Just to give another example, I'm going to skip forward a little bit more in this. So here is an example of a bit further on when they're showing a different one of the slides on there. I will say, for those of you that remember the name Neon Alley, how's that for a throwback? If you know, you know. If you don't, it's not a major thing. Don't worry, but there's a really fun little throwback reference there. So this is actually a cool little thing to have. It's kind of almost documenting the history from a US perspective when it comes to Sailor Moon. So that's a fun little extra to have. I like the fact that's on here. Elsewhere, we have got fan reactions. Let's see what we have in this. So what this is going to be is effectively just fan reactions from the Anime Central panel announcement. So I'm going to assume there's going to be various people who are at the panel getting some quick like Vox Pops comments from them and such. And it's going to just be a bunch of them in here. So a cool little archival thing to see noted in here. So as you can see here, they're getting reactions from various people here. Cool little thing to have, just sort of like again, for an archival purpose. It's a fun little thing to have here, so that's cool to see. Dub recording behind the scenes. Okay. So what we've got here, folks, is a 13-minute behind-the-scenes featurette with comments from Stephanie Shea and from Robbie Damon, the two main characters from the show, quite frankly. And then, as well, it's got some of the people behind the scenes when it comes to Sailor Moon in the USA as well, and Viz specifically. It was Josh Lopez, the dub producer, Charlene Ingram, who is the senior marketing manager of animation at Viz, and also Emiko Nakamura, who is the animation licensing coordinator at Viz as well. Just a sort of behind-the-scenes element of it as well, and just even from watching a few little bits and bobs of this, it's very clear that they wanted to keep this announcement as under wraps as possible, so it kind of re-emphasizes as well the surprise factor of the Anime Central announcement that is highlighted on this disc. So fun little extra to see included on this as well. We've got the official announcement trailer, which the trailer that I mentioned at the start of the Anime Central panel, that's here on its own as well. We also have an interview with Katsuyuki Sumisawa, who I believe was the season 1 to 3 writer. This is about a 5-minute interview or so. So here's a quick still from that interview for you. It's a fun little interview actually, it's worth going out of your way to see if you haven't seen it already. It's good fun. So with that being said, that was a pretty loaded disc to say the least. Let's roll on. Let's get on to disc 4. We've made it to disc 4, and Sailor Jupiter is the focus this time, so it's really fun to see how each disc has got its own Sailor Scout themed after it, so that's nice to see. In terms of episodes on this disc, we've got episodes 24 through to 31. And then as I now advance to the gallery, because the setup menu will be exactly the same as we have seen on previous discs, let's see what's on the gallery this time around. So yep, got to focus on Sailor Jupiter, which is really cool to see. And we've got other characters as well. Again, just really fun to see. Just something simple, but it works so well in the context of this. I've also really liked the way they've got some of the paper in the background. Sort of the curved paper. That's a nice little touch there. Let's continue rolling on. Let's go to disc 5. We've made it to disc 5, and the focus on this disc is one of my personal favourite characters in the show. Just putting it out there. Sailor Venus. Very, very cool to see. In terms of episodes on this disc, we have got episodes 32 to 39. As you can see, menu layout exactly the same. Once again, setup menu, exactly the same as well. Got to keep up the consistency. Let's see what's in the gallery this time. So we've got some Venus-focused art. Oh, that's a really cool image. I really like that. There we go, nice and simple. So with that being said, folks, let's keep this train rolling. Let's get on to the final disc in this set, that being disc 6. That's a cool focus. So we've got a dual character focus on this disc. I like that. This is the main menu for disc 6, everybody. In terms of episodes on this disc, obviously the conclusion of the first season, it is episodes 41 to 46 that you see on here. Once again, setup menu will be exactly as we have seen on the other discs. In terms of extras, let's see what we have. We've got clean opening and ending, which I'm going to assume once again, yep, we get the option for English Ramaji or subtitles off on the functionality there. I'm going to play with English just to check it out. I'm going to assume this is clean opening and ending 2, specifically. So let's just double check and make sure. This is definitely the start of opening 2. So now just to forward on, I'm going to get to a moment where a subtitle will display. So there we go, I've just quickly hit the pause button there. There is an example of how that will look, and I've got to say, I do love this particular opening sequence. It's really, really cool. Now just going to fast forward a little bit, back in a second, to being in the ending sequence. I can confirm it is indeed a different ending sequence, and there's an example of how the subtitle will look while displaying on that for you. So what else do we have on here? We've got an art gallery. Let's see what the focus is this time. Pretty obvious to figure out what is going to be the focus, but we like to make sure, don't we? That's a nice image. Oh, we actually get some key visuals on this disc. That's really cool. This is really cool to see. I like that one. That's fun. This is some really cool artwork here. Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool to see. That was a good art gallery, that one. I like that. So what else do we have here? Moonlight Memories Part 1. Let's see what this is. So what we've got here, ladies and gentlemen, I've hit pause for a second, is we've got about a 9-minute sort of featurette, if you will, that's going to focus on various people giving their thoughts on classic moments in Sailor Moon. To give a few examples, I believe there's part of the cosplay team that is highlighted in a different feature, what we'll get onto in a few moments, that gives their thoughts. There is a super fan as well. Sort of a myriad of people, if you will, giving their thoughts on some classic moments from the franchise. AX Sailor Moon panel. This is the entire 25-minute or so Anime Expo panel from 2014. It's a Sailor Moon specific panel. So lots of various things going on in here. But if you want to see that, and this was kind of after I believe that they had announced the Sailor Moon license, or it was around that summer anyway, where clearly there was big hype around this in the USA. So a good chance to sort of relive some memories like that. And again, good to see some nice archival footage from the English language perspective of Sailor Moon. Elsewhere, the official cosplay team interview. So what we have here are a series of comments from various people on the cosplay team that Viz had effectively contracted and sought out to have be across the USA while they were hyping up the upcoming first release and such of Sailor Moon from around 2014 to 2015. So a little bit behind the scenes on how that came together and such, because you saw in the AX panel that there were some people in cosplay then. So this kind of goes behind the scenes of that and gets some thoughts from various cosplayers there as well who are on the team. We've got Sailor Moon Day highlights as well. I'm assuming Sailor Moon Day will probably be when they announced the Sailor Moon license. That's my marketing brain speaking there. So yeah, we're basically getting highlights from fans at the announcement panel, if you will, and sort of giving their thoughts and stuff. Again, just some cool archival footage just to see the love and just anticipation for Sailor Moon coming back in the USA. It is really cool to see. And this is about a 5-minute featurette or so as well, also worth noting. And then finally, more from Viz, which I can already anticipate this is going to be trailers. So one would assume it's going to be Sailor Moon trailers. Let's find out. Yep, this is a trailer for one of the movies. Trailer for the Super S film. Trailer for Sailor Stars as well. Because it's also worth noting that this box set was released after all of the initial releases. So this is kind of very much they've done all of the individual seasons now in the various parts, and now this is the first of what one will assume will be complete collections for each season. So that's the reason that there are also trailers for these releases as well. So there we go, everybody. That's going to wrap up this video. I hope it has been useful for you if you are thinking of purchasing this Blu-ray at all. Thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see the unboxing of the set like I mentioned earlier, you can watch it here on the channel right now. And if you've got some time spare, I encourage you to check out some of the other unboxings as well. Do let me know if you have any questions or if there's something you'd like me to elaborate on a bit more in the comments. I'm more than happy to do so. Thank you very much for watching, and have a nice day.